Chapter 4 of Speak Kindly, You're Listening, my first book. The importance of internal validation. How you choose to speak to yourself impacts your mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. It can bring you up on days when you feel down, but it can tear you down on the days that you feel good. It can even kick you when you are already down. Days when you feel more emotions or have had a sleepless night are opportunities for your inner critic to come barreling in, screaming profanities at you. Despite how you feel, you have the choice to nourish yourself by choosing kinder and non-judgmental words, which is a form of internal validation. Imposter syndrome can be good and push you outside your comfort zone, but it can also be extremely detrimental and keep you stuck in your comfort zone. I think a significant component that determines if you stay trapped is how you choose to speak to yourself and build your internal validation. If your own voice, your inner critic, credits your success to luck, reminds you of only your failures, tells you to overwork to prove your worth, downplays your achievements, and holds you back from thinking you can reach a desired goal, then it will forever keep you in a comfort zone, making you feel not enough. But is that where you want to stay? In a place full of dislike toward yourself? At times, it may seem inconsequential when you say things like, "Oh man, I suck," which I heard from one of my past colleagues on a phone call. Or when I even caught my own accountability partner hopping on our weekly video call saying, "I'm a loser, I didn't do my homework this week." Your subconscious doesn't realize you're saying it as a joke. Your subconscious thinks you're a loser. When I heard my accountability partner say it, my eyebrow lifted and she replied, "Fine, I know." "You know what?" I asked. "I'm not a loser, I'll reframe. I didn't have time and chose to prioritize other tasks. That's why I didn't complete my homework." I grinned, much better. It can honestly be that simple. Throughout our lives, the inner critic has made its grand entrance, strutting its thing, being the loudest, and invoking intense, deep-rooted emotions. This voice has used words that sound familiar and natural, but are harsh and demeaning. Throughout my life, there were days I looked at my reflection in the mirror and picked apart every single flaw, not just physical, but mental and emotional as well. I would have settled for a voice that said, "Damn, you're pretty awesome. How did you get to this stage in your life?" Or, "I'm not 100% sure you know what you're doing, but you'll figure it out." But the inner critic, when you experience imposter syndrome, isn't that. Experiencing imposter syndrome and the intense feelings that follow can cripple you. It's saying statements like, "Fake it till you make it," and beginning to believe you are, in fact, a fake. Your voice convinces your mind and makes you believe you don't have the skills, knowledge, or experience to start a new job, run that business, or write that book. It is just as important to own your success, to speak kindly to yourself and use vocabulary that doesn't convince your subconscious you are a fake. Here's how it goes. If you tell yourself you're a fake, you're going to believe it. If you say you're qualified, you're going to believe it too. So why not choose the latter? Why not choose to believe in you? You deserve to be exactly where you are right now. You got yourself there. You did it. It's time to say it so you can believe it. Build that internal validation. I stepped into the clinic room and Ben was like any other patient. He had recently been diagnosed with head and neck cancer, and I was getting him ready for his radiation and chemotherapy treatment. Ben was 79 years young, dressed in brown slacks and a white button-down corduroy long-sleeve shirt. He was slightly slumped in the chair, and to my right, I noticed his cane leaning against the wall. Ben had arthritis. From first glance, I expected a talkative person. Most of my senior patients were quite talkative, as they didn't have many people to talk to on any given day. Working at a hospital, this was challenging because I found myself often falling behind. Even as a dentist, I sit with my patients and listen to what's going on in their lives and what they may be feeling as they are processing their new cancer diagnosis. As Ben started telling me a story, I immediately guided him back to the purpose of the visit. I was already running 25 minutes behind and it was only the morning. I could feel my assistant breathing down my neck to try and catch me up. As I asked Ben questions, he became more direct with his answers. He knew what we needed to get through today, so he participated as any patient would, wide-eyed and concerned, but understanding. I finished examining Ben's mouth and the appointment was nearly over. I stood up to slowly walk toward the door. "Ben, do you have any questions about anything we talked about today?" He replied, "Do you think I'll still be able to give presentations while going through radiation?" I felt my shoulders tighten. I pulled the chair back and I sat down. Ben, tell me a little bit more about your presentations, and we can come up with a plan on when and how the radiation will affect you so you can set up those presentations as best as possible. Ben and I started talking about all of his endeavors, even going back to his early 30s. My memory of this conversation is so vivid that I still get chills down my arms thinking about it. Ben described to me, I became CEO overnight at 32. I didn't know what I was doing, and I don't think the board had any confidence in me either. But the guy before me did a piss poor job. I was so intrigued that I kindly asked him if I could pick his brain about the self-doubt he experienced while in the new CEO role. Ben replied, I have no other place to be, go for it. Did you ever feel like you couldn't do the job? Oh yes, most mornings I woke up thinking, this will be the day they fire me. It sounds as if you felt like an imposter in this new role, I said. Most definitely, I was in my early 30s and now CEO. I think they expected me to fail. I think I expected me to fail too. I asked, what kept you going? What helped you break through the self-doubt? Slowly, Ben straightened himself in the chair. I kept showing up. Ben took a pause and then said, I pushed myself every moment when I got up. I fought back the words I would hear at times. I kept telling myself I will leave here today better than it was yesterday. And I held on to that firmly. I sat there wide-eyed, absorbing every word. Eventually, weeks, months, and years went by. The business grew, people were happy, and I was confident, Ben gleamed. I looked over at the clock and realized I could spend hours with Ben, but my other patients wouldn't be too happy. That's when I decided to ask him my final question. Ben, confidence is a finicky thing. It can be fleeting and hard to find at times. What would you tell the person who is a high achiever but can't believe in their capabilities or can't find their own confidence? He grinned and shared, life is a book. This is a chapter. You get to choose when you turn the page. But when you turn that page, you get to write the next page differently than what you wrote today. I thanked Ben for his time and he responded, no, thank you for indulging an old man about his life. I hope he didn't run too far behind. I immediately ran back to my office and grabbed a Post-it note. I wrote down what Ben had said and decided this was going to be one of my lessons on how to build confidence. The lesson in what Ben shared with me is you get to choose what you want to write on that page. You can choose to speak hurtful words to yourself, or you can choose to speak kindly. By choosing to speak kindly, you are inadvertently building internal validation. Internal validation is the proof and positive or neutral reinforcement you require to solidify and continue to grow your confidence. It is complimenting yourself, savoring success, and jotting down what time you stepped into your own. Internal validation is stable, consistent, and easily accessible. You are validating who you are and who you have become. It is also reframing what you know your strengths are instead of allowing the outside world to tell you what you should deem a strength. Which brings us to our positive investment container today. This is where you don't have to put your name next to it, but if you haven't gone up to the board, you get to start to build that positive investment container. This is your piggy bank of internal validation saved for rainy days. A rainy day may be a crappy feeling day, a snide comment from someone day, or I hate the way this outfit looks on me day. By choosing to write kind words about yourself, you begin to fill the container with moments that bring you joy, happiness, and fulfillment. Ideas of what to put into that container. Past achievements, successes, talents, abilities, feelings of accomplishments, feelings of courage or hope, events, days that made you feel content, moments of gratitude or learned experiences, even when they were challenging. You want to put both neutral and positive items into this container. It doesn't have to be all the most amazing stuff you have ever done. It can be how you chose to implement a boundary and stick to it to protect your mental space, or how you chose to speak kindly on a day that was difficult. When you actively put investments into your piggy bank, you can pull from the fund on those rainy days. Your container can be physical or digital. It could be a shoebox, a Tupperware container, a journal, or digital photo book. The options are yours to choose. Over time and without even knowing, your positive investment container will build your confidence. You'll stop thinking of yourself as a fake, and while you soar to new heights, that new inner voice will cheer you on. When you allow your investment to grow, you start to believe your worth. You start to believe you deserve to be right where you are. But most important, you start to believe that you, in fact, are enough. Thank you. I'm Dr. Jessica Metcalf, author of Speak Kindly, You're Listening, and I want to empower you to change your life.